So today we will be managing development and production environment in Nodejs, Express and MongoDB. So when we build an application using Node.js and Express and MongoDB, it's really important to distinguish between your development environment and production environment. And managing these environments correctly is critical for several reasons, including security, performance, and scalability. So why environment management is important? So there could be different requirements. Let's say in development you may need to verbose logging, hot reloading, and detailed error messaging. In production you want to minimize logging, optimize performance, and secure the application, and handle errors gracefully without exposing sensitive information. And other aspects could be security. Let's say in development you might use test databases or development API keys. In production you must use secure credentials, SSL certificates, and restrict access to certain IP addresses. And another aspect could be performance optimization. In production, optimization such as caching, compression, and load balancing are critical for performance, but are unnecessary in development. So also configuration management could be the reason, like managing different configurations for environment, for example databases, API keys, ports, allowing flexibility and prevents using sensitive credential in secure environments. So let's try to implement this, and let's get to the practical. I'll create a folder here, and it is here. I can go actually in this one. Okay, now I can do is okay, so now I'll install few dependencies that are required, and that are Express, Mongoose, and .env. So these are the packages that are required for now. The Express is a web framework, and Mongoose it is used to interact with MongoDB, and .env is used to manage environment variables for different environments. We got this folder here, and let's create environment specific configurations files. So using environment variables is a clean way to manage configurations for different environments. You can create different environment files for development and production. This helps us keep credentials, database URLs, and other settings separate and secure. So let's create a .env file. And this would be for my development. Okay, so here you can see, and let's put some values here as well. Let's say I have port, it would be 5000, and I have node env, that will be development for sure, and I have, let's say, Mongo URI, and this will be MongoDB, localhost, and the port is 27017, and we can call this as devdb, and I can have my JWT secret here if I want. I can have my log level. It will be debug mode obviously. And now similarly we can create one more env file for production. And I can copy few and paste it, and I can change this. Let's say my port is same for now, and let's change actually port as well. It is, let's say, 8080. And for production, let's say I have MongoDB plus SRB format, and this will include my username, the password, and this will have cluster as well, .mongo.net for example, and I can remove this localhost for now. So this will be similar, and this will be prod secret, and this will be error. So now we can configure our .env to load environment variables. So let's say we will create a server.js file, and this will be the entry point of our application, and which will be loading correct env file based on the environments. Okay, we will import express here. And one more, mongoose, this will be .env and .env. Now we can check for our configurations. For example, process.env, if this is production, what we can do is .env .config, and for that we can provide the path, and for the production the path will be like env .production, because we are in production environment. Otherwise, in else part, we will have this as development. In the same way, you can have multiple here. Let's say you have canary and QA as well. The process will be same. You can put other else if. And now we will be initializing our Express app. And we can do is mongoose.connect simply. and we can pass process dot env dot mongo url, and we can provide necessary parameters like use new url, parser as true, and also we can provide use unified topology as true. Okay, and this will allow you to connect to the MongoDB database. And after that, what we can do is we can do then on post successful connection, we can do is we can simply console it. DB connected, and if something goes wrong we can catch as well. This will be telling us the error, and again console.log error. And we can print the error itself as well. So in ideal case this is not recommended. In such issues like DB is not connecting, we can gracefully shut down our application. That is a separate topic, we can discuss later that. And now we can have the port from process.env.port. Otherwise we can have a default port that will be a 5000. And now our app can listen to it. We can have the port, we can have let's say we can console it. Server is up, server is running. Yeah, so this setup loads the correct env file based on our environment. If we are in production it will load the production, and if we are in development it will load the development. So how we can use environment variables in our application? So with .env properly configured, we can use environment variables in our code. And this is database connection already set up in server.js, and we can have JWT authentication as well. We can utilize that. Also for the log, we can log levels can differ between environments. Let's say debugging in development, minimal logging in production. So based on that we can put if conditions, like if, for example, let me put it here, or maybe after this. So we can check if process.env dot log level debug. If this is debug, we can console debugging information. This way. So we can manage environment in a specific middleware as well. For example, you can use middleware that behaves differently based on environment. For example, you may want to uh, detailed error handling in development but more generic error handling in production, so we can do that as well. And production middleware can be used for performance and security optimization, such as compression and helmet for security securing http headers. Okay, so when deploying our application to production, you can use environment variables to set the mode to production. You can set node env to production in your server, or use an environment file on your production server so that it will be used as a production. We can set variables like, for example, we can do export node env equal to production, and then you can start your server or whatever application is. And for the production use, you can use pm2 as well to manage your node.js processes, ensuring your app stays online and restart automatically on crashes. uh, so you can figure it out what pm2 is by your own. And we can also secure mongodb credentials in production. When running in production, ensure your mongodb connections are secure. Use environment variables for mongodb credentials, and enable IP whitelisting. Restrict access to MongoDB to specific IP addresses. Use SSL TLS. Ensure MongoDB is running over SSL and TLS to encrypt data in transit. And enable authentication. Ensure that MongoDB is configured with username and password authentication. And you can automate deployment for production as well. For to ensure smooth deployments to production, you can automate the process using development tools like GitHub Actions, Jenkins, and Docker. For example, with Docker, you can create a Docker file for your environment Node.js application that separates environment, build the project, and run the server in the correct environment. I can show you a real quick example for Docker file. For example, this is a Docker file, and we can have from node, let's say I want to use 18, and I have my work directory that could be a app folder, and I need to copy package JSON from app, and I can run npm install for this environment. After that, I can do a copy app folder, and then I can pass my environment. Let's say environment is node.env, and that is production. And what else we need to do? We need to expose 8080 port, and on the cmd we need node, and our file is server.js. This is the command what we need to start the server. So this is our sample Docker file that can be utilized for production. You can add more configurations here. So managing development and production environment in Node.js application with Expressjs as MongoDB is essential for ensuring that your application remains secure, performant, and maintainable. So by using environment variables, configuring middleware based on the environment, and handling errors differently between environment and production development and production, you can build applications that are robust and ready for both local deployment and deployment to production.